Welcome to the Fierce as Fuck podcast. I'm your host, Amanda King, and I'm here to teach anybody who wants to fucking listen how to have the audacity to say fuck it to societal standards and live their most authentic life. This podcast is dedicated to bringing sexual conversations from behind closed doors onto the main fucking stage. Because sex, masturbation, squirting, guess what? It's all fucking normal. And by bringing these conversations to the forefront, we help people feel less alone in this world. We help them feel safe. We help them gain their power back, step into their confidence, and have the ability to express themselves authentically as fuck in this world. Because it takes fucking audacity to be your truest self. And we have boatloads of audacity up in this bitch. So let me ask you this. Are you ready for some epic shit? Hello, everybody. So I wanted to get up here and do an episode dedicated to seduction or tips for seduction, or just having, honestly, a frank conversation about seduction, because society makes being sexy and seducing look a certain way. And a lot of women don't relate to that way. I most certainly didn't. And it causes us to feel awkward in our bodies, to not know how to tap into our natural magnetism in order to get what we want and desire on every level, not just a sexual level. And we start fearing our own bodies or feeling like we don't even know how to be sexy. And I know that this was my biggest struggle when I started this journey about 2 years ago. I remember sitting in my car one day and being like, thinking about seduction and thinking about sex and thinking to myself, I don't even know how to be sexy anymore. Like, how do I flirt? It'd been so long since I had flirted at that point. I had been with my husband for almost, I think, 8 years at that point. And I was like, I don't even know where to begin. How do I start feeling sexy? How do I seduce someone? How do I seduce the world? And I get messages like this every single day of, hi, I want to, initiate with my partner, but I feel awkward doing it. And, or I just feel gawky doing it, or it doesn't feel right. Or I want to turn my partner on, but I'm not even sure like how to be sexy or anything along those lines. And I wrote an entire article on this in Smex Ed magazine. It was called The 5 Seduction Tips for Beginners. And the opening paragraph talks about the massive misconception when it comes to the idea that seduction is and needs to look a certain way. Society has created this notion of what is considered sexy. And when individuals don't really vibe with the box that they construct us to be in, we struggle feeling like we cannot tap into our sexual sides, that we have no fucking idea how to sexually express our wants and our desires, because we think in our head seduction needs to look like this Marilyn Monroe type of overly siren-esque style of seduction, which some women fucking nail. They're so good at it. Or it needs to be this uber feminine way of seducing, right? And when we think of feminine seduction, we think of like the doe eyes, the kind of meek, the soft. And some women, including myself in this, don't really vibe with that as well, because we tend to be more, I don't want to say domineering, but more bold in our personality. And to hide that or mask that in order to seduce a partner doesn't feel good. And seduction isn't this like one style fits all type of shit, right? We need to throw that notion out the fucking window when I'm sitting here and kind of giving you tips or tricks or whatever to seduce the world, because this isn't about just seduction on a sexual level, because all of this, yes, can apply to seduction on a sexual level. But this episode is more dedicated towards seducing the world. And what I mean by that is being so confident and so grounded in your natural magnetism that the whole world can't help but look at you. The world can't help but notice you. You end up being that person who walks into a room and everyone's heads turn instantly because they think, who is she? Seduction is about finding what you are comfortable with naturally. It's not about becoming an alternate personality or becoming something that you're not. It's how do you take the parts of yourself that are the best parts, the parts that just shine? How do you take them and make it sexy as fuck? Because those are the things that you are naturally good at. Those are the things that are going to make you naturally confident, which when you are naturally confident, you end up seducing the world because confidence is sexy as fuck. And the first misconception we need to get over in general is this is not as much about seducing the world as much as it is seducing yourself. The key to being a magnetic person, the key to getting everything you want and you desire in this world is about turning yourself on. And this is sexually and non-sexually. This is about finding what about yourself that you are fucking in love with. And before you hit me with like, oh, there's nothing I love about myself. Yes, there absolutely fucking is. Society has made you believe that there is nothing you love about yourself, but truly, every single woman has this thing that they love about themselves more than anything. And it tends to be the thing that society tries to dim in them the most, right? For example, I am a very passionate person. When I get passionate, I raise my voice. You can even hear it during podcast episodes where I really get into things. I get so excited that my voice elevates. I literally could project my voice across a goddamn football stadium and people on the other side would hear me. And it's because I fucking love what I do. I fucking love what I'm talking about. I feel very strongly about that. And so my voice naturally, boom, it becomes a booming voice. And growing up, everyone used to say to me, you need to quiet down. My dad shushes me to this day. Like I'm 37 years old. And when I get really into something, he'll go, shh. People have said I'm loud. People have said I'm obnoxious. People have told me I should calm down. But that boldness, that passion is the sexiest thing to my partner. When he sees me get into something and truly go full force into something and talk about it like it is my soul on fire, he finds that so incredibly sexy. And that's because that's me at my core, embracing and honoring myself that society has is annoying or that they don't like. The right people will love that aspect about you. True seduction is about recognizing how incredibly beautiful, powerful, strong, angelic, daring, brave, rebellious, whatever the fucking acronym you want to use or description you want to use about yourself, and being unapologetic as fuck about it. That is how you seduce yourself, by rewriting the story that key element about yourself is wrong or should be hidden or should be kept behind closed doors. It's about recognizing that what society tells you to dim is what stands out, what makes you stand out most in this world. And that's why they're telling you to dim it, because they are uncomfortable with the power that comes with it. And that's the thing about women. We are very powerful, incredible, sexy ass beings. And in a society that is run and grown by men, a woman truly in her power is terrifying to them because they can't control it. And that's what this is all ultimately about, is control. If we control the female population to make them feel like they're never good enough, that they have to strive to be something more, that no matter how much they do, it's never enough, to make them self-sacrificing, people-pleasing people, then they will never truly recognize the power that's within them, and they will never stand into that power. and they will stay small and they will stay meek, and we will be able to control them, especially with consumer products, right? Telling them they have to take these diet pills to make them thinner, or to put this makeup on to make their complexion look like they're a 15-year-old child. Society sets women up to fail all the time, because if we recognized our own true power, we could take over the world. If we stopped combating and fighting with each other and actually came together, because society pits us against each other, we would change lives. We would change the entire outcome of this world. And so recognize that these things that you're hiding from yourself are the best fucking things about you. And the more you embrace them and the more you just honor them and fucking love them. Yeah, love them. Love them like they were a part of your child, a part of your sister, right? We put so much love and energy into other people, where we will sit here and I can tell you 100 fucking amazing things about my friends, especially my female friends. I can tell you what I absolutely love about them, what I think the most powerful aspect is about them. But if I sit here and say that about myself, like I can't. I will sit here and pick apart every negative thing about myself first. And then someone will say, well, what do you love about yourself? I can maybe list 3 things. Oh, what I need to improve on, how I need to be better, how I need to be more evolved. I can list all of the reasons, all of those bad things about me. Like it's not even a fucking problem. And that is the problem. Every single woman on this planet has something that is ruminating inside of them. They have something that is wanting to be unleashed into this world, and we are keeping it in chains. Like, let's keep going with all of these analogies, right? But it's the truth. There's a beast inside of you. There's a unicorn. There's a goddess. There is a superhero. There is a lion. There is something inside of you, whatever creature and or person you want to believe that's inside of you, that is literally just waiting for you to let it out into this world so that you can live your most authentic life. And recognizing that power is going to turn you on so fucking bad. I read the book, and if you haven't read it, I fucking go Google it right now. I'm like, I should be plugging my own book. Let me plug other people's books, but it is oh God, I can't remember the author, but it's called Pussy or Reclamation. And I got this book on audio. What was it, 2 years ago, and this was the book that started my sexual revolution. It changed everything. I thought it was the most powerful, life-changing book that I have read, that made me embrace my body and embrace myself. And I hope to God one day to write a book that people say that about as well. And she goes on to say, when women turn themselves on, it is like there is a light in their eye. There is a pull. There is something that people just cannot stop being near, wanting to be near, looking at. That is the power of turning yourself on, because when you turn yourself on, the whole world gets turned on by you. And you don't have to try to do that. That is just harnessing your inner fucking goddess, your inner fucking beauty, your inner power. And then when you honor that, seduction becomes effortless, because seduction isn't something that you're supposed to do, I guess is the word I'm looking for. It's not okay, well, I need to be the sexy vixen. It's more of just embracing what you are and being in love with it and unapologetic about it. And really just being yourself at its truest core. And then once you discover that, you realize how sexy you are, which makes you feel sexy as fuck, which then makes quote unquote seduction something that is an unconscious effort rather than a conscious effort. And when you turn yourself on, there is a inner beauty that is there. And we want you to match that, right, with your outer beauty. And this is where kind of like the quote unquote seduction tips come in that I have to give you. But this is more about doing this for yourself, because when you harness that inner beauty, you want that inner beauty to shine, not only through your soul, but through every ounce of your being, your clothes, your hair, your face, whatever it is. We want it to radiate through you. And so one of the first things after you like really start learning, because you got to learn to do this yourself, right? You got to learn to embrace this aspect of yourself, is starting to make the outside match the inside. So I always talk about clothing. And one of the reasons I talk about the power of clothing is because clothing can make women feel like absolute shit all of the time. This was the biggest thing that I struggled with when I was starting to embrace this seduction of the world, was finding clothes that matched what I felt inside. I mean, am I wrong? Each and every single woman has this set idea of what they feel like, right? Like when I look at myself, I think rebel, I think loud, I think bold, I think daring, I think loving and earthy and all of these words. And then I would go clothing shopping and I would wear clothes that none of those words matched up with. And it's because I hated fucking clothing. I hated clothing. I hated shopping. I felt like I didn't have a style. And it made me feel like shit. So no matter how powerful I felt on the inside, I felt like I was dressing like a 13-year-old girl on the outside, because I would go to the mall, right? I would try on clothes and they would be fucking terrible. They would be terrible. It's like sizing in general makes you feel like absolute fucking shit the entire time. Then you go into these rooms and you feel like the lighting looks terrible. They have these huge mirrors that catch all of the wrong angles of your body, and you just feel like shit all of the time. But clothing does represent our inner fierceness. Clothing is the way that we can authentically express ourselves. It's a way we get to be creative with ourselves and with our looks. And it's a way to show the world exactly who we are without having to say a fucking word. And I believe so much in the power of clothing. And I mean, we're talking clothing at like, you do not need to dress like a badass CEO wearing pantsuits and heels all of the fucking time, because that was another thing that I had to kind of rewrite in my head, is that I had to be dressed up all of the time. But I'm not someone who likes to dress up all of the time. I'm someone who likes to wear sweatpants and casual shorts. But I kept trying to say, how do I make this sexy? How do I make wearing a pair of sweatpants sexy, not to other people, to myself? Because when I feel sexy wearing a low cut top and a pair of sweatpants and some sneakers or sandals, other people are going to be like, damn, she looks sexy as fuck in that. Why? Because I have the confidence to wear it. And when you have the confidence to wear clothing, no one can say shit about your clothing. No one. And a way to start looking, and tips I have about like looking at clothing a different way, was the first thing I did was I stopped shopping in malls and I stopped shopping in stores. And this was because it was a defeating process that always made me feel like shit. And so what I started doing was I started going on TikTok and finding influencers that are my size and my build. So I am, I guess, considered mid-size by society. So I vary depending on pants and clothing, anywhere from a size probably 8 to a size 14. I have wide built shoulders. I am very thick on my upper torso. I have very muscular build, which a lot of women's clothing are meant for a more effeminate build and more like dainty shoulders and smaller legs. And I'm just not that fucking person. I say I'm built like a house, but I mean that in the best way. I am built to survive an apocalypse. Let's just put it that way. And I love that about myself. And so going to these stores was just making me feel worse about myself. So I switched to going solely online shopping. I went through Amazon, Target, fucking what else? I order clothes from everywhere. And what I do is I go onto TikTok, I look at these influencers who have my same body shape and body size and see how the clothes look on their bodies. Because I am so sick of looking at stick figure models and things look amazing and flowy and beautiful. And then I put it on and it makes me look 9 months pregnant, different bodies. And so I stopped paying attention to them and started paying attention to women who represent me and my body. And so I suggest that you do the same, whether you like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever your platform is, start following influencers that are your size and your weight and or your height and or your stature so that you can start finding clothes that fit you, that feel good, that accentuate the areas of the body you love. And this was a big tip on seducing myself was we are so quick to pick apart our bodies. And I do it all the time too. Like I'm not going to fucking sit here and act like I'm perfect. There are days where I look at my stomach and I get so fucking annoyed because I feel like the rest of my body is responding to all of the hard work that I put in with eating well and going to the gym. And it's like my stomach it's there. It's always going to be there. It's going to be a part of me. And there are days where I literally hate it. And then there are days that I embrace it. And this is about on those days that you look in the mirror and you say, oh my God, my stomach looks terrible. It's about then saying to yourself, what's a part of my body that I love? Let me accentuate that part, right? So when I look at the mirror and I'm having a day where I feel like my stomach looks terrible, I cover it up, right? I put on something that accentuates my breasts. Love my breasts, accentuates my ass, makes my legs look really good. I'll wear something with heels to make me feel longer and make me feel taller. I'll accentuate the aspects of my body that I really want to focus on to love again, to appreciate, rather than those days where I feel like my stomach is just, I'm hating on it, rather than putting on clothes that are 16 sizes too big and hiding my body. I figure out a way to accentuate the areas I love so I still feel sexy as fuck. Even if it is putting on a shirt that's a little baggy, it's wearing a really sexy bra underneath that peeks through that shirt. If it's wearing shorts that are high-waisted because I feel bloated, it's throwing a pair of wedges on to make my legs look really good. It is focusing on the areas that I want to show the world and that you feel really fucking good in. Because then when you look in the mirror, even on the days that you feel like shit and you don't feel like you could seduce the world because you can't seduce yourself, you can look in the mirror and say, hey, I may feel a little bloated today, but damn, my tits look great. Holy shit, these pair of pants accentuate my ass like crazy. I feel pretty. How many days, like there are days, those are my favorite days where you wake up and you put on clothes and it's not even something that you put a lot of effort into, but you look in the mirror and you say, I feel fucking beautiful today. I feel pretty today. Those are days that you want to say that out loud too. I'll put it on social media all the time. I'll say, I feel really beautiful today. I feel pretty today. I feel grounded today. Why? Because it's a way of, grounding, using that word twice, but grounding those emotions into me and me recognizing, yeah, I am a beautiful person. Because when you recognize how beautiful you are, the whole world can't help but recognize how beautiful you are. You see where I'm going here? Everything you do for yourself has this ripple effect over the world, and the world takes note. So if you are wearing clothes that accentuate the areas that you love, that make you feel fucking powerful, that make you feel good, you are always going to be a powerhouse. And this is where also empowering yourself throughout the day comes into play. Plain and simple, the more powerful you feel, the sexier you're going to feel. When you feel powerful in your body, that power radiates and those around you can feel it. So the more you can empower yourself throughout the day, the better you're going to feel, the more turned on you're going to feel, the more sexy you're going to feel, i.e. the world will follow. So do things every single day that empower you, even on the days, especially on the days where you feel like utter shit. I've been going through a lot emotionally, like full transparency the last month. And I have not felt my most powerful. There are times where I will get in a car and I will break down for 20 minutes, hysterically crying in my car. Or I'll be in the shower, or I'll be watching something and it will trigger something, or I'll be sitting there looking out the window and being left to my own thoughts, and it will fuck with me. But I've also been trying to find power in those moments where I feel powerless, in those moments where I am a crying absolute fucking mess, feeling my emotions, being stuck in them. I sit there and I think to myself, wow, there's so much power here, because people can't feel emotions. People are scared to feel emotions. People don't allow themselves the permissions to break down. I sure as fuck used to not. And so to allow yourself the permission to break down and ugly cry in your car is one of the most powerful things you can do as a human being. And so I find power, and you should find power in every aspect of your day. Empower yourself. And this could look like you going to fucking Starbucks and trying a new Starbucks drink. And although it sucked and you didn't like it and you wish you would have gotten what you usually get, you tried something new. That's pretty fucking amazing. There are people who go through their lives every single day never trying anything new. And although it didn't work out necessarily, you still took the risk. And that is powerful as fuck. If you didn't feel like going to the gym this morning, but you went out and you took a 30-minute walk with your dog where you got to clear your head, you listened to some music and you felt better afterwards, that is powerful as fuck, because a lot of people would have beat themselves up over the fact that they didn't do something that they were supposed to do. And you gave yourself the permission to not do that and to feel good about doing something different. That is powerful as fuck. Looking in the mirror and saying, God damn, I'm pretty as shit today. I'm pretty as shit. Great. I'm pretty today is powerful. Having the conversation that you've been avoiding for weeks is powerful. Saying no when you really don't want to do something, but you feel obligated is powerful. Empower yourself throughout the day. What makes you feel powerful? Ask yourself that once a day. What can I do today to make me feel powerful? This morning I woke up, I was fine. My gym routine has been lacking, but I said, like, I've been shifting and changing it, which is great. And it's been hard with the guilt of not going in the morning. And so this morning I was like, yeah, I'm going to do something that makes me feel powerful. So I made breakfast, and it was just yogurt and strawberries, right? Nothing fancy, but I plated it like I used to plate desserts when I was a pastry chef. If you guys didn't know that, I was a pastry chef in DC area for like 7 to 8 years. And I did plated desserts for restaurants down there. And they were beautiful. And it was a huge part of my life that really tapped into my creativity and beauty, because I always wanted to be an artist. I always wanted to paint, and I never was good at drawing, but food is my art. Food is my love language. I find so much beauty and power within sitting down and enjoying a beautifully plated meal. And so this morning, while my pants were like in the dryer, de-wrinkling, I plated myself a really beautiful breakfast. And I shared it on Instagram. And I thought to myself, this is stupid. No one wants to see my plated breakfast. And I thought, who the fuck cares? Yes, this is for the audience, and they're here, but they're here because of me. And this is a part of me that makes me feel powerful, taking the time to make food look beautiful and then taking the time to actually sit down and eat it and appreciate it. That makes me feel powerful. It doesn't have to be just in your clothing. It doesn't have to be these big things. It's what today can just make you feel a little bit more powerful. And one of the ways that you can feel more powerful in your body is by practicing mirror work. I may have done an episode on this before. I can't remember, to be quite honest. But mirror work is literally standing in front of a mirror in either your birthday suit, like completely nude, or in a set of lingerie, or in a bra underwear, whatever makes you feel good in your body. And it's about watching yourself in the mirror. It's about looking at yourself in the mirror. It's about seeing you. Because you know what? We expect others to see us, but the reality is, unless we can see ourselves, no one will be able to truly see us. They will see versions of us, but they will never see the authenticness of us because we won't allow ourselves to see it. And getting in front of a mirror and watching our bodies and moving our hands all over our bodies and moving our hands up and down our bodies, touching our clothes, touching our hair, touching our skin is going to make us all feel more secure within our bodies. It's going to make us feel good and powerful and sexy. And if you need an example of what mirror work looks like, go check out the article, Seduction Tips for Beginners. I think it was in the April issue of Smex Ed magazine. You can scroll down. I talk about mirror work throughout these tips. And there's a video of me. I'm in like a purple, I'm looking at it right now. I'm in a purple bra and purple underwear, and I'm doing mirror work. It's so simple. And a lot of women always say to me, you move in your body so confidently. Like, I can't touch myself the way you do, or the facial expressions you make, or the things you say, and all of it comes from mirror work. It's because I sit there and I look at myself in the mirror every day, because when I was at my my lowest with my body, my lowest with intimacy, I wouldn't even look at myself in the mirror. I would put makeup on and that was it. Like, I would get out of the fucking bathroom, out of the shower, and I would throw a towel so quickly on myself because I couldn't stand looking at myself naked. And so mirror work has become a pivotal part of my life. Every day I post a picture on Instagram of the outfit I wear for the day. And I had a woman once say that she felt I was becoming vain. And that's nothing to do with vanity. That's so I make sure that I look at myself every single day in the mirror. Obviously, I can't post nudes on these platforms, or I would, because it's about looking at yourself and truly seeing yourself. Because if you can't see you, no one will be able to see you. And so I post pictures every single day on Snapchat and Instagram. On Snapchats, I do videos of myself touching my clothes that I'm wearing that day. It's mirror work. It's because when I do that, I feel sexy as fuck. I recognize how powerful my body is. I recognize how grateful I should be for my body, because a lot of women would want my body, and I would want a lot of other women's style bodies. But it's about appreciating ourselves and getting in tune with ourselves again. And mirror work is what's going to do it. Now, the last kind of tip, I guess, I'm going to talk about, which I spoke about in this article as well. Ladies, this is kind of work for your vocal cords. So we as women, and I used to do this all the fucking time, we as women, when we meet new people, or we feel uncomfortable, or we get nervous, our voice raises an octave, right? So if we're introducing someone new, or we're talking about a new idea at work, or we are doing something that makes us uncomfortable, our voices will go up to here like we are Barbie. And I can't take credit for this. I saw this in TikTok and I loved this tip. It was specifically for LGBTQAI women trying to pick up other women. And they said, this woman said, typically when you meet someone new, our voices go up an octave. We get into our head, like they're very nasally head voices, where we go, hi, my name's Amanda. And rather than doing that, it's more about dropping your voice an octave lower to sit here and say, hi, my name's Amanda. Why does that make such a huge difference? Because it makes you sound less nervous. When someone is able to drop their voice and talk like this, calmly, it's sexy as fuck. It radiates confidence. It radiates power. When we talk like this, it sounds really high pitched, and it sounds like we're really nervous, because we are really nervous. So practicing in those situations where you get nervous before speaking, take a deep breath. And I do this, like I have to catch myself doing this all the time, especially around new people. I recently moved back up home with my partner, and I haven't been up here since I think I moved down to DC when I was 22. So it's been a hot freaking minute. And I'm seeing all my friends from high school again. I haven't seen them in a really long time, and we all went to a very small school. And when I get near them, I tend to feel nervous. And this is because, like, ultimately it was a small town. I always wanted to fit in. I never felt like I fit in. And now I'm kind of back in it. And it jumbles my confidence sometimes, because all of these old triggers come up. And so I sometimes, when I'm seeing people from high school again, or we're out at a bar and they come over and talk, I have to almost take deep breaths during my conversation, because I tend to want to go up in that nervous energy of like, oh my God, do they like me? Oh my God, do they think I'm crazy because I talk about sex all the time? Oh my God, are they upset that so-and-so is watching my content? It's a whole fucking thing. And so when I'm talking to them, right before I speak, I'll take a really big deep breath. And then I'll say what I have to say. And I'll make sure that I say it calmly and with confidence and make it sound confident, because there's no reason to be worried, right? No one, we think that people give a shit about us more than they actually do. Trust me. And those who do give like way too much shit where they're shit talking you, they need a life. But like typically, people don't really give a fuck. And so when I'm meeting new people, especially because I always want to seek out opportunities on things, I try to stay calm. And even if my insides are shaking from nerves, I take a deep breath and I drop my voice and I make sure it stays. And I don't mean like this is my normal speaking voice. I don't mean like dropping it real low. I mean just keeping it level to where it's not nasally and not high pitched. Do I fuck up sometimes and go into high pitch? Absolutely. Absolutely. But part of owning your authenticity and owning your natural seduction style and seducing yourself is recognizing that you don't have to prove shit to anybody. How freeing is that? You don't have to prove shit to anybody. Prove it to yourself. If you're sitting here and thinking, I need to prove this to A, B, and C, no, you don't. You just need to prove something to yourself. I was having a conversation with my husband where I built my coaching business. I was an online business coach from 2019 until about 2021. And I built my business on a trauma response of trying to prove to everyone that I could be successful, because I grew up in a small town and my parents emotionally neglected me and only used my accomplishments as bragging rights, and yet weren't ever really there for any of them. And so I felt this need to prove to everybody that I was more than what they thought. And then I got up and all of this success happened, and it was all just kind of shallow, because I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for everybody else. And there's like so many layers of conversation that can go on about that business in general, but it fueled my soul at the time, but I did it for all of the wrong reasons. I did it to prove something to other people when it shouldn't. And you shouldn't be proving anything to yourself. And confidence and inner magnetism and seduction all come from the fact that I don't need to prove that I'm a sexy being to other people. I just fucking am by existing. It's not something I have to try to do. I just am by breathing. It's not something I consciously have to tap into. I just be myself, and people are going to find that utterly sexy. And so I hope this podcast episode helped you out today. As always, if you liked it, feel free to share it, leave us a review, spread some love, message me on IG, tag me, do all of the things. But if you do none of that either, thank you for just being here and listening to it. And I truly hope that this has helped you today. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Fierce as Fuck podcast. And some parting words for you today. Remember this: no matter how hard society pushes you down, no matter how many times you fall, as long as you get the fuck back up, they can never stop you. You are unfuckable with. You will win. Don't allow this world to dictate how you show up in it. Don't allow society to make you bend the knee. Instead, make them bend theirs. And don't forget, if you like what you heard, Go on to iTunes and Spotify and leave your girl a review. Until next time, my